So I got to be a groomsman for a good friend of mine, and I remember we were just sitting in that room together, all ready to go, just waiting for someone to tell us to take our places so he could go get married. And right before it was time to go, I leaned over and said, "You know, there's probably a game on somewhere. You want to go find a TV?" He gave me a look like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, we could probably go get a drink. You want to go get a drink somewhere?" He laughed and said, "No." And then they gave us the cue that it was time to go, and I stopped him one more time and I said, "You got your cell phone on you? You want to play on your phone for a little while? You got your laptop? Let's get a jump start on work for next week." And I think at this point he knew me well enough to know what I was doing, and he smiled and said, "I want to go be next to my favorite person in the world." And my advice to him after a decade of my own marriage was this: don't forget that next month. Don't forget that a year from now when the honeymoon phase has worn off. Don't forget that 4 years from now when you have a kid and your whole marriage dynamic changes, usually for the worse at first. Don't forget that when she says she feels hurt because of something you did unintentionally. And don't forget that when she says she wants to see a counselor because she feels neglected and discussions have turned into fights and you're avoiding the issues in your marriage and distracting yourself with work or the game or the bottle. Don't forget it, men. At one time she was the most important person in the world to you. And you chose to make a covenant with her. I know you hate being called out because it goes both ways, right? But let's focus on your way right now. You chose to say, "I promise to love, honor, and cherish you forever, for better or worse." And some of us found out what worse looked like, didn't we? Me too. You want the good news? Most of the time it's more important how you finish than how you started. So finish strong. Keep your perspective. She's still the most important person in your world. Some of you have good marriages that you need to level up to great. Some of you have superficial, shallow marriages that are teetering on the verge of divorce, and you need to step up and learn how to rebuild trust and communicate without criticism or defensiveness. I'm not saying you're the problem. I'm simply asking, are you being part of the solution? Because the solution is practicing humility and consideration and affection again. Quit letting your pride get in the way of actual intimacy with the one that you love. Quit doing marriage the way your daddy did it. It didn't work out for him either. The solution is to date her again. She's just as special and beautiful as she was at the altar all those years ago. Never get complacent. Always stay intentionally appreciative and respectful, because the natural pull of your marriage will always be to drift apart. You have to choose to swim against the current, or you will end up just like the other 50%. Divorced. It's not your intentions that make the difference. It's the direction your marriage is headed. Divorce isn't a mystery, it's an equation. You put in defensiveness and dismissiveness and criticism and contempt and unresolved conflicts and pride and selfishness and ego and silent treatments, you get something. You get distance and disconnection and usually divorce. That's just where those paths lead. And you can learn how to prevent those things, just like I had to. You can learn about her again. You can take an interest in his world, her world, their desires, the way they feel loved the most, their stressors. The Bible says carry each other's burdens. Christians, how are you supposed to carry their burdens when you don't even know what they are? It's your choice, husbands. I'm not saying she doesn't have work to do. I'm saying most of the time you have a wife who loves you and wants a healthy, mature, intimate relationship with you. If she's willing to do the work to get that, are you? We can be intentional about being affectionate and considerate and selfless and vulnerable again. Emotional connection with her is also an equation. You put in empathy and validation and emotional safety and valuing her above sex or work or football. Put in quality time where you put your work or your phone away. You get something back. You get her or you get him, the most important person in your world. I chose to move towards my wife and start over completely. I challenged my assumptions and my expectations on how to do marriage together. Sex, mutual chores, conflicts, fears, love languages, all that stuff. And it was embarrassing going to counseling and learning about how much I didn't know about how much I was unintentionally hurting this marriage. I had to learn what vulnerability and empathy and intimacy actually were. But on the other side, I'm just telling you, everything you want out of marriage is found in everything you think is stupid. You can keep thinking intimacy is dumb, but that has a destination. I know where it leads. Do you?